to do with the concept of, our existence and so on, some concepts may not be necessarily right ones to follow. Others may be the ones we should be following. So that's the discussion that we can have. I mean, I understand, Simon.
Yeah.
You don't believe in a creator, or you're on the fence? Or?
I'm on the fence, undecided. I don't think it's possible to know.
Okay. So when you say it's not possible to know, is that to do with the existence of God, or with anything in life?
I think God, I suppose.
Okay. So in things in life, there are things we can know for sure. Okay. So your agnosticism is not about the general agnosticism of everything, but when it comes to the questions of God, it's how you approach this question. Could it be that if we find out the right approach in knowing the existence of God, or how to know God, perhaps then we can say whether this is going to give us certainty or not. It could be our approach which is not giving us the certainty. Could that be something, do you think?
Yeah, I think you'd have to use a scientific method to prove something or disprove something.
Yeah.
And I don't think the scientific method can prove or disprove God.
Yeah. So what that means then, whenever we use any method, we need to know, is this method appropriate and sufficient for what we are trying to achieve?
Yeah.
Like if I want to know who is the most beautiful woman in the world, and then I use the scientific method. Now, what has science developed as a method to find out what is beauty? Because beauty can be very subjective.
It can.
Right?
It can.
So if you are brought up in a particular culture in which beauty of a human being is noses which are not pointed but flat, lips which are thicker and so on, then to you it will be these features of a female that's beautiful. But in another culture that will not be the beautiful feature. It will be like, that's the one to say not beautiful.
Yeah.
That means, how is it then science can come up with some ways to know what is beautiful? Maybe science is not the right approach here, or the method here to know. So when you talk about the existence of God, science and scientific paradigms, it has a specific methodology. Okay, that methodology is, if you go against it, then it's no longer a science. It will be pseudoscience.
Yeah.
But with this methodology at hand, it already excludes anything supernatural, anything that goes like metaphysical reality and so on and so forth. Because science deals with the natural world.
Yeah, yeah.
And that natural world, by its scope, limits an investigation beyond the natural world. So science may not be the appropriate tool to use to understand or to confirm with this conviction whether God exists or not. It might give us indications, but it might not necessarily give us the conviction and the confirmation. Okay. So we must find out other ways of knowing whether there are other tools to use to confirm the existence of God or not. What do you mean by God in the first place, Simon?
Me, I don't know. I suppose a big man in the sky with a beard, or...
Oh, that's probably where the investigation...
In the monotheistic...
Yeah, that probably will be a reasons why it will be difficult to confirm this kind of views. Because the God that I have as a concept is unlike this. It's not a man with a beard and an old whatever in the sky. Because to us, God, the creator, is not a male or a female, and not aged, doesn't have the human features of a beard, for example. To us, God is the creator and the originator of everything that exists. And why do I say this? Because even when we are looking at our universe here, our cosmos, our reality around us, we know that this universe, it has a grand design in situ in place. Things don't haphazardly orient themselves in this universe. The earth goes around the sun. It doesn't just jump around and goes the other way and it just stops suddenly. No, there is already a design set there that it is supposed to go around. The sun does likewise. So everything in this cosmos seems to be following, scientists say, a natural law. What we are saying is an order it's following. It's following a set order, a set design, and it cannot be said that it designed itself, because the sun or the earth did not choose to say we're going to rotate against each other.
Yeah.
They don't do that, because even in our understanding, they are not sentient beings. They don't have a mind or consciousness, but they seem to be following a particular set of laws. Whenever we appreciate there are laws in operation which are so harmonious and unified, the question is, the laws themselves cannot emerge and implement themselves. If I have a piece of an equation on a piece of paper,
But I think that's the unknown question, isn't it?
no, think about it.
It's not possible.
If I have an equation on a piece of paper describing a particular law of our universe, that piece of equation cannot force an act on that law, because itself it's not self-aware. Laws themselves are not self-aware. They cannot implement it. So because its implementation is done, then it means there's a lawgiver, there's an implementer of these laws. We're implementing it.
Why? Why does that mean?
Okay, so now we need to really understand this. If we have a set of laws in operation in our universe, how do this law, the physical laws, implement as physical actions in our reality? Because laws themselves are not sentient, they're not self-aware, they don't have consciousness, and they don't have a will. So we need to now think reasonably and rationally with our intellectual faculty. How do we explain the laws are actually being implemented on a physical, materialistic level in this universe? What are your views on this?
I think we're a Goldilocks planet, aren't we? We've got enough water, we've got enough heat that life can exist here. We haven't found another planet we know of yet where the same conditions exist. So there's a very good chance that within, the universe, we're kind of alone on this planet, and we're the only ones sort of living sentient beings. And at the moment, because we've only explored so far from Earth, and life might be a random occurrence. Do you know what I mean?
So you're saying laws could be randomly implementing. The same question I'm asking. The moment you introduce randomness, chance, or non-intelligence behind this, the question is, how do all of these things implement physical laws in our universe? And they actually carry on implementing. It's not that one day today there are laws of gravity and next day there isn't. It's not that the earth will rotate this way now and tomorrow it's going to rotate the other way. Yeah. The law is enforced. Yeah. How does it maintain to enforce?
It's not about only Goldilocks, it's maintaining the pattern. It's not like that I have reached at the golden ratio or golden setup. It's not like that. It's maintaining. So it has two aspects. One is creating the pattern, designing the pattern, and then maintaining or enforcing the pattern. That's why.
I think religions historically were a way for humans, wherever they were in the world, to explain things that they didn't understand.
We understand better now, right? With our understanding now, let's leave the human religious history and their pitfalls and shortfalls and so on. As we understand now, still the question is very relevant and appropriate. How do these laws still maintain and enforced? By what or by who? Because the only thing that makes sense is there is an enforcer, a maintainer, one that maintains willingly on this. Otherwise things will just be haphazard. Random means it could be anything, it could be any way.
I suppose the jump that you make, that I don't think you can make, is to say there must be somebody maintaining this.
No, we make
Why must there?
we have to make inferences to the best
How can
explanation.
yeah, so we make inferences based on our limited human understanding. So we would assume, on Earth, there's a law, a rule, that's being enforced by a human somewhere. And I don't think you can use those same reasoning.
It's not about. It's not.
Universe.
We're not anthropomorphizing the originator. What I'm saying, we see laws in operation. We utilize these laws to make our physics work, our maths work, our biology, chemistry, all of this work, right? Without these laws in operation, none of that would work. None of that would work. Okay? The fact that we're able to make clothes and your vapors, your cap, your bag, shoes, and everything, is because the physical laws are actually quite what we call rationally they're implemented, right?
But I think we began by discussing why am I an agnostic? And I think
You said we could not know for sure.
and we can't know for sure. I think for me it makes sense logically, rationally, to say I can't prove God and I can't disprove God, so I just happy to say I don't know.
Yeah, but all the
And I think anything else is illogical.
no, all the evidence, all the arguments, all the reasons points towards an agency which is responsible for maintaining all of this. To give you now, I break down, right? Do you believe? Do you believe? That's the bad side of Speaker's Corner. There are some people who have really been abusing the opportunity given in Speaker's Corner by insulting and expressing comedy. Anyway, you can ignore. You can ignore. That's good. So, do you think if something exists now, back in the past at some point there could have been absolute nothingness?
I think it's not possible to answer.
It is possible. It is possible.
They sort of, a friend of mine used to say that with the Big Bang Theory, she would say, give me one miracle and science will explain the rest. The miracle being the Big Bang.
Let me explain what I mean. Let me explain what I mean.
I don't know if we can know.
Nothingness, I mean, is the absence of everything.
Yeah.
Absence of energy, matter, space, time, and potentiality. It's basically absence of everything that you can even think of, right? When there is such a thing, can something result from this nothingness?
I don't know.
Because it doesn't have anything. How can something come out of it?
I suppose the fact that something has resulted.
No. Let's work it out. Let's work it out. If we start with nothingness, and this nothingness doesn't have energy, doesn't have power, ability, potentiality, will, so it cannot make anything. It cannot even doesn't have the potential to do anything. So from this nothingness, nothing will result. No something will come out of it, because something that comes out of it is something. So that something cannot come from nothing. So put it simply, if you have a wallet and you have no money, not even your credit cards or whatever, digital, whatever, you can't give me any money because you have nothing. So when you have nothing to start for our universe, you can't get anything out of it. The fact that now, that's what in principle we understand. Nothingness cannot generate, make, originate, produce, manufacture, whatever you want to call it, something. Okay. Now we are something. That means in our past there cannot be a time where there was nothingness. What it means then, there has to be always something, because something exists now means always something. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Good.
Yeah.
That something that always exists could be our universe, or could be the one originated the universe. To simplify it. Okay. If we consider maybe the universe was always there, but the problem is, in this universe we see transformation, changes happening. To make transformations which are so orderly and complex and harmonious, you cannot simply say it just happened. Like you don't say, oh, just happened and they got an iPhone, or just happened you have a Samsung laptop. It just doesn't happen. So This transformation cannot happen unless you have 4 essential qualities to be met. One is a thing that is self-aware, which makes the transformation. For example, we are self-aware. We can make our breakfast, our dinner, our lunch, our work, and so on. We are self-aware. Sometimes you can program our computers and our robots to do the actions, but that has to be an input there from a self-aware entities like ourselves.
Yeah.
So it has to be self-aware. Secondly, we have to have the ability, the power, the energy that we need to have to make things. Without having the ability, I can't do anything. Imagine now, I'm self-aware and I want to make breakfast, but I can't move. How can I make breakfast? I can't.
Yeah.
So I have to have the ability. Now suppose I have the ability, I'm self-aware, and I don't have the will to make it. So even though I can stand here for billions of years, I would never be able to make breakfast because I'm not willing to make it. So the thing for our universe to have this transformation to occur, it has to have something within itself, self-awareness, the ability, the will. The other thing is the knowledge to make it. But these are all the qualities that we give to
Life?
God.
Oh.
God who is self-aware, who exists, knows he exists. God has the ability. God has the knowledge. And God has the will, the creator. If you want to use the word creator, originator. So the universe, even if you consider the universe to be the one transforming it, you're already saying the universe has a will, has the ability, has the knowledge, has the self-awareness. What we say is what God is. That's why, if you think about it, Simon, to believe in the existence of a creator, we already know the creator exists, but we haven't thought about the nature of the creator. So these 4 essential qualities, these are essential qualities of the originator, which we say is what we mean by God, a being that has these qualities and attributes. Of course, God has another concept in which God is a being that is worthy of our praise, our thanks, our gratitude, our glory, our worship. That's why people worship God, because they want to appreciate and be grateful. If somebody saved you from a danger, you thank that individual because it's a natural response. So the creator, God, creator, who created us, gave us life and the means to sustain life, naturally our response is to be grateful. That's the essence of worship.
Okay.
So when we say we worship God and so on, it's not something, an alien concept, it's a natural response. So being agnostic is fine, but we can still, through explanation and understanding, we can say the agnosticism has come to an understanding and knowledge that yes, I am no longer agnostic about the creator. I know there has to be a creator. If there was no creator with these attributes, I would not even be here. So Simon, you already know logically that's what it is.
I mean, I don't know if I fully followed the argument, but I mean, the alternative is that we live, let's say we don't have a creator.
Then there will be nothing. There should be nothing.
But why?
From nothing should be nothing.
But does the creator have to be a sentient, thinking
The
being?
creator that transforms, if it's not self-aware, how can it do anything? I do not know I exist. Can I type a letter? I don't even know I exist. I can't.
But that's the mystery, isn't it?
It's not a mystery.
No,
This is...
The mystery is, when does physics become chemistry, become biology?
No, all of these...
Nobody can answer.
No.
And
Here's
I
a
think
physicist,
one of
and
the
here's someone...
Like to say, biology, like the natural world, has to make so many mistakes before beings like us come along.
That's true.
Like
When-
there are so
when-
many mistakes that are made,
when you say
so
mistakes-
many pressures that are put upon organisms that die out.
It's not a mistake,
99% of
it's a plan.
the species that have been put on this planet have already died out.
It's a plan.
I think the wording with
it's
mistakes
a
is problematic in the sense that
When you say mistakes,
if
what do you
you,
mean?
if you make mistake, that means if you make mistake and correct it, that means that you are aware of your mistake. That means you have awareness.
Let me take this point. What's your name?
Christian. Christian.
Christian. Simon and Christian.
I know him.
Yeah. Christian and Simon.
Still
He is in the line, because it makes sense so far, alhamdulillah. So, what we're saying is, the moment you say it's a mistake, and the cells have a mechanism, a machinery to repair and correct itself, that means what? There's already what is correct, there's already an awareness of a correct program, but there are things that influences these, and then mistakes happen. Our Creator tells us clearly, look, God, our Creator, has put a balance in this universe and says, do not create imbalance. When you create imbalance, when you create imbalance, no, Christian, I'm answering your point. When you create imbalance, that's when things go wrong. Because if you pollute the air and the water and the land, you're going to create lots of problems. If you create a hole in the ozone layer, you're going to get skin cancer. Your cells will start becoming malignant, for example, get skin cancer, when the cells are not supposed to become malignant. So what happens? One second.
Talking about like CO2 output.
No, one second. When you create a layer in the ozone, a hole, rays, that comes through these holes, which were prevented by the ozone layer, now it's going to come and it's going to start affecting and perhaps damaging what's there in your skin. So all this radiation that's going to be now in your cells, it will impair their ability to replicate properly and make mistakes. Because that's what happens when you have cell replication, cell divisions. You can introduce mistakes in there by this kind of radiation impulses, where it will either have some kind of stoppage there, or the program's altered, one of the codons is changed, and so on and so forth. That's what. But God tells us one of the things that we shouldn't do is to create imbalance in this. So now let's come back to the point I was asking.
There is lots of imbalances built into the system.
This is not paradise. God didn't create this as a paradise.
When you are saying that,
climates, and there are moderate climates and so on, and there are favourable climates, but there is always an up and a down, and essentially you can say imbalance at both polars, and then a perfect balance in the middle, which we can understand conceptually, but that's not there in reality. So it's an extremely harsh set of climates and a predation.
Taking the fact of balance,
One moment, please. A huge amount of predation on species from different angles, very harsh moments where whole species are wiped out. Okay, all kinds of plagues, bacterium that just come up and are doing exactly what they think they need to do, whatever, to make it in the world.
A bacteria is still a bacteria. A cockroach is still a cockroach.
Okay, to summarize your point, you are saying that there exists imbalance. There exists imbalance. Your point is that there exists imbalance. Imbalance or imbalances? Many imbalances. Now, what we can make out of this? Let's take that imbalance exists. This is the fact. Now, when you say that there exist imbalances, then you have to have the concept of balance in place. So you have a criteria, to decide what is balance, what is disbalance.
This is an emergent property that started from the very
No,
beginning.
let's fix this. Let's fix this. First recognize.
Something that's really simple.
Coming to emergence. I'm coming to emergence later one. First. Are you sure? Are you sure about the fact that when you say there is imbalance in the nature, automatically you are inferring that there is a criteria for balance? Otherwise, this is nonsense. I mean, you cannot
mean average, right? We use that mathematically just to express a midpoint that is conceptually worthwhile for humans to do, but doesn't really exist in the world, in the reality we live in. It is all ebbs and flows. It's up and down. It's positive and
negative. It's not like that. No, so let me try.
I don't think you're convinced what you're saying.
No.
I don't think you're convinced what you're saying. To be honest,
Right?
I don't think it's convinced what you're saying.
The fact that there is a whole, yin yang and so on. positive and negative, and they are held together in a kind of positive.
Are you talking? No, sorry. I want to understand. Are you talking in the point of view of science, or you are talking just out of your mind? If you talk about in the point of view of science, then you should know the least action principle. Least action principle says it is the balance. The natural events or any path or any track in the nature takes the path up. Yeah, that's the concept. So you have to minimize. Yeah. This is the fundamental principle of science. If you say, oh no. So that's why I am trying to correct you. That whenever you are saying there are imbalances. Sorry. Then you are inferring that there are criteria for balance, and something is always trying to keep it up to the balance. I mean, forcing it. That's why concept of equilibrium comes. I mean, if there is no force towards balance, then there will be maybe oscillations, but there is always.
If the creation was perfect, if everything was
that's the problem here. The creation. Okay. Just want to bring this. Christian, I want to address this point.
Yes. So the balance.
I want to address your point.
Is a perfect law. It is not beyond law. Sorry. I'm saying you are saying that there are imbalances, and by that you are implying there are imbalances, and we know from science that there are concept of equilibrium, and that is called least action principle. It's universally applicable in physical world, whether it's quantum theory or classical theory. It is always there. Now coming to that.
Every sun dies.
This imbalance. Yeah. So imbalance and balance.
You need to understand what we're talking about. Imbalance. You raised the point, but you're not listening. Willing to listen. Let me clarify. Would you allow him to address your point about imbalance?
Yeah, I exactly work on the topics. I mean, perturbation, imbalance, balance. I am doing that particular work. And so let me clarify this. Yeah, no problem. Your balance and imbalance, the concept of balance and imbalance in the natural world never violates the precise laws set in the nature. Yeah. Even if you have imbalance, it does not violate any precise law of nature.
So we'll come back to the same question then. When you have something that is implementing it, can we have one conversation? We will bring it back to this question.
But they never allow life where they could do, and planets like ours, that every single
you cannot have life if there are no precise laws.
And most of those
that's what you were alluding to earlier.
Those animals die out.
Yeah.
Right?
So now look,
that's a really important
Christian.
When we're trying to talk about
when we talk about God did not create this world as paradise. So there will be based on either human action or God's overall design plan, there will be imbalances occurring.
Why did he mess up 99?
Excuse me, it's not about 99 mess up. You're misunderstanding.
Why did he mess up 99%?
There is no 99% messed up things. God has a plan that human beings.
That's a lot of
look.
species.
Excuse me.
To huge heights, right? The dinosaurs died out.
So what?
A meteor came down.
No.
And went,
if the dinosaurs die, what? So what?
Perfect laws.
So
those are according to perfect laws.
Look, if God decrees, this is how the natural. Yeah.
Do you have a non-believer like evolution?
Look, evolution is just an explanation of how maybe there is variation in species in our reality. That's what evolution is trying to do. What we're saying is the explanation put forward that is directed by something that is not conscious, something that doesn't have a will, something that doesn't have self-awareness, is making no sense. Any transformation to happen, you need to have an agency behind it which has...
Yes or no? Do you believe in evolution?
I just told you.
I don't know.
No. What I'm saying...
In one word.
No. You need to understand. No. It's very important to understand. Okay. Evolution is a process that is explained like what the scientists are doing. We say this explanation is lacking. It's not sufficient and it's not justifiable. Why? Because for this you need an agency with
And you see,
self-awareness.
there's a struggle going on.
Did God, so if there's a creator,
The Creator made it like this.
the creator made it like this.
Yeah, absolutely. The Creator
Process
wants,
you can call evolution or whatever you call. There
whatever you want to call it.
Creator, has he, could he have made life on other planets?
He could have.
Things like this.
It's not could have. He's creating all the time. So there are other lives in other parts of our cosmos,
Maybe other
and the
universes.
Quran says He has the power to gather them together so that you may know it as well. So, in fact, the very first chapter in the Quran that every Muslim recites 17 times at least a day, they acknowledge here God is the Lord of many worlds, multiple worlds. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Praise, gratitude, glory, thanks be to the Lord, the Creator, the Sustainer, the one who creates and sustains, that's the Lord, and shapes, of the worlds. So already introducing a concept where there are many worlds, not just this world. You know, we shouldn't be so arrogant about it that we are the most somewhat. No, God could have created, and maybe He is. But for our purposes, there is an objective to follow in our life. And that is to know what our time frame is and to fulfill our objective within the time frame. Because some people are given a time frame which is shorter, some are given longer, but within the time frame, everyone is able to fulfill that purpose. Because God being just, He doesn't put a burden on someone's shoulder greater than they can bear. That means our friend Christian or yourself, you are able to fulfill your objectives. So how do we then remove this agnosticism about God? Is by going through a process of intellectual scrutiny and inquiry, like we are just doing, and coming to this realization, yes, it cannot be the universe which was always there eternally. It has to be a being or an agency who has these, at least those essential characteristics. And these characteristics is actually what the people who believe in God say, this is what God is.
So to put a bit of intellectual curiosity scrutiny on things, when I look at the religions, the Abrahamic ones, so is it like the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims?
Yeah, we are Muslims, by the way.
Yeah. I'm agnostic. I just
Hopefully
think,
no longer.
Isn't it more likely that these were kind of like cults 2,000 years ago?
Okay. So let me.
They were just crazy, powerful, clever men at the time who managed to manipulate people.
Religion or the existence of a creator is actually ingrained in our own self. It is the society, our family, our initial upbringing conditions us to believe in otherwise. There are studies done by scientists with children. Children are already born believers in a supernatural entity who is the creator, maker, controller of our universe. So it's already established by science that this belief is already in our natural disposition.
But knowing like human nature, and humans want power and control and the ability to manipulate, do you not think it's probably more likely that these men a couple of thousand years ago were just manipulating everybody and or influencing everybody?
Islam, our concept is, from the very beginning, the first man that was put on this earth has been telling about that there is one and only one God, and you need to be dutiful to this one God, not to worship anything else, but to worship this one creator who created you and gave you life. And this message has been consistent throughout. When they spread to different parts of the world and they had children and offspring and so on, everyone had this belief instilled within themselves, and the intellect confirmed this throughout human history. So it wasn't this that people somehow forced people to believe in it, not. In fact, belief system in a creator is universally demonstrated to be in existence, as well as universally achievable and attainable. A non-belief in a creator is something that is odd, because find me someone who's born an atheist. You can't. Children are born theists.
From Harvard University, the research you talked about?
Born believers, the science of children's religious belief of Justin Barrett. Yeah. So you can read about this. It's
Child psychology.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
It's not about control. Look,
I mean, I just kind of think like Islam, Christianity, they're just sects of Judaism. Really,
What? No.
aren't
What
they?
happened is
They-
this.
They all believe in
Let
Judaism.
me clarify. No, it's not like that. Let me clarify. There is only one creator, one God, one originator. There cannot be more than one. If there was more than one, which are absolute like this, there will be chaos, conflict of will. One God says, I want sunshine right now, another goes, no, I want darkness. Conflict of will, the whole universe will be ruined. So what happened throughout human history, people came away from this one message, one religion. That religion was one of submission to God. In Arabic, it's known as Islam. The one who submits is called a Muslim. So it was always Islam and Muslims. But people then moved away from this belief system, this concept, and they introduced something which was wrong things in it, and then they started calling it this ism, that ism, and so on and so forth. So
Because Islam has sects, doesn't it? Sunni and Shia.
Sunni, Shia all believe in one true God. Okay? So the concept of God, so there might be some split because of some political affiliation and so on and so forth, but the fact that
the
there's
same as like the split from Christianity to Judaism and Islam.
no,
to
Christianity, the Christ,
Human made.
Christ came to talk about God that already people were believing in. He came to remind people about God. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam after him came people to remind God. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam being the last of all the prophets. So they did not bring any new religion, new ideology. Same belief system of Islam. The only difference that came with them is circumstantially they had different laws to deal with human needs at that time.
But if any of these men, Abraham, Jesus, Muhammad, was around today, we'd call them crazy. We'd put them in a padded cell and, you know...
I mean, people might do so.
If somebody came and said, I've just parted the Red Sea, or I've just turned
And what if you see it with your own self? What if you see
something.
it with your own self? If you see suddenly someone totally blind, he just does this and then he heals. What are you going to say?
I think these guys were all smoking about something back in the
No,
day.
that's what people thought. But when they witnessed it themselves, during the time of Prophet Moses, this is what the pharaohs thought. I am the God on earth. It should worship me. There's no other God besides me. I am the God. And he had his magicians to convince people like that.
He had the state power.
Yeah. He had the authority. But what did Prophet Moses do? He says, no. God is the one who's that. So what happened? No, just to show you very quickly. So what the Pharaoh did to prove Moses was wrong, he says, okay, fine, okay, let's see. So we have our magicians, and you come up with your tricks or magics, whatever, or your whatever. So when the best magicians came, and then they threw their magic and they became snakes and whatever, and when Moses did his miracle,
I mean, isn't this stuff crazy when you think about it?
No, try to listen.
If somebody came
If
to
you
you
are,
and
no,
said, I've just created snakes
No,
or
please,
parted the
please.
seas or...
When those magicians did their trick, some people were mesmerized to think this is wow, like a snake. But it was a trick. But when those magicians witnessed the staff of Moses, the prophet, peace be upon him, turned into a snake and it destroyed all their illusions and tricks, those magicians, expert in magic, they acknowledged and they realized that wasn't magic what Moses brought. So when the experts confirm that it's no longer a trick, no longer smoking something, then that becomes evidence. So when the Quran came and it challenged the whole of humanity, not just the Arabs, whole of humanity, to bring a chapter like the Quran, or a book, or 10 chapters like it, 10 surah like it. How did the Quran have this kind of confidence that no one will be able to do so? Because 1400 years and more have passed, and people are unable to imitate the Quran.
No, I mean, it's incredible.
Why is it not imitable?
I think when you look at someone like Muhammad, he was what, 632 and out of Medina and all that, and he's an incredibly influential person in history. But I think today you know, if you were to look at him with today's lens, any of them, you'd probably call them crazy.
No,
They would all be in mental hospitals.
you would misunderstand. This comes from misunderstanding. So the Prophet said, for example, look after your orphans. Is that a crazy thing to say?
I have no doubt
No,
that
no.
religion has good messages.
No. I want to know what the bad messages are then. Why is he not the role model today? Let me hear it.
The other thing for me is like you look at somewhere like China, and they have no religions. They're all philosophy.
They have religion. They're worshipping the ancestors and so on and so forth.
Taoism and things like that. And I just think that philosophy for me makes a lot more sense than religion.
The same philosophy that tells you there has to be someone or something that is self-aware, something that has a will, volition, ability. That philosophy now tells you you're no longer an agnostic. Cannot be.
Philosophy is a tool, but if you have direct knowledge, then that tool is less superior than the direct knowledge. So if you have God, I mean, if you conclude from philosophy that there is a God, and then you get some information or some communication from that God, then obviously philosophy will say that, okay, I am taking side, leave the place for God, the revelation. So there, these issues are there. These issues are there.
So philosophically, how do you explain the inability of human beings to imitate anything like the Quran?
I mean, how do you mean imitate it?
The Quran has a particular linguistic structure, as well as the meaning it provides in the most eloquent manner. This structure in language cannot even be imitated. Objectively shown, it cannot be imitated.
Can ChatGPT do it? Can ChatGPT do it?
I did try with ChatGPT. I have a video about it. I spent more than an hour trying to help ChatGPT and says it can't do it. This is the video you need to watch later on. I'll show it to you.
For what reason?
One second. So ChatGPT, I'll show you which one I'm referring to.
Find out the truth.
Sorry?
To find out the truth.
No. Well, I mean, it seems like, I read my Quran quite a lot, and the structure seems fairly simple.
So this is a video. ChatGPT imitates the Quran, yeah?
That's interesting. And
Over 1 hour video.
Qurans, there were no
I did it over 1
diacritics
year
contained
ago.
at all.
Please have a look at it.
So,
I tried to give ChatGPT all the objective nature of this challenge, tried to help it. At the end, some people are even commenting, are you going to ask the ChatGPT, do you become a Muslim? Because that's the point where you're saying it cannot be imitated, because that's the nature of the language. Because when we talk about evidence, how would human beings be convinced about someone's prophethood, being a prophet of God, without any evidence? You need real hard evidence to believe in someone to be a prophet of God. Otherwise, you can believe in Harry Potter as a book of God, right? Exactly. So the Quran provides those hard evidence to believe that indeed the Quran is from God, gives you the reasons why the God has to exist, why God is one, and so on and so forth. So I think we should leave it there for you to reflect on it. That the belief about God, to believe in the oneness of God, to believe in the messenger is been sent by God, is something that you can reason yourself to be sensible and reasonable thing to do. Okay? What it needs is sitting down, examining and reflecting on it and say, okay, I understand that there has to be an originator with those four essential characteristics to the minimum. We say these are the qualities of the necessary existence. If something exists now, there's another argument which is so powerful, even the atheist community themselves are acknowledging it. It's called the contingency argument. The argument from contingency. Let those atheists come and discuss with us. We've been doing this in the park, right? Contingency argument. It's such a profound argument, easy to understand and quite sensible, reasonable. Why? Because if something that can be otherwise, like look, his jumper could have been otherwise. It's not necessary it was black. Everything that you see could have been otherwise in a different way. So if things are like that otherwise, that means there has to be something that made that quality to be like that way.
I suppose what if there isn't? That's the scary.
It's not what there isn't. It's not there isn't.
That's the scary.
Nothing cannot make something.
What if we're completely random on this
No.
planet?
Randomness. Look, randomness cannot. If I just sit there and I start typing randomly, I am not going to get the next book out with all your lottery numbers, with all your equations to deal with energy in a test tube, nuclear energy in a test tube, like all the things. Imagine now, I'm just randomly typing, and then we've solved every single mathematical and scientific problems. Like, okay, here is a code to make money. How? By turning stone into gold, into platinum and diamond. Imagine, this types it, I just start randomly types in, it gives me a code. Okay, fine, with this code, take any material and you can make it into gold and diamond and platinum. It will never happen.
Yeah.
It will never happen.
The issue is that if the world is running randomly, then this thing of yours will not work. I mean, one time you pull and it comes out and smoke, and the next time it will not come out. It will jump off you. I mean, leave your hand and jump off the floor again. And apparently it will not be confined in your hand.
I mean, another example. I'm typing randomly, and then it makes what? A newspaper. It says year 3025. 1,000 years later. And it tells you exactly, oh, this is earthquake happened there, this president fell, and whatever. This kind of information of the future, you think randomly possible and it happens to be true? Even you, the agnostic man, you would say it will never happen. Because to predict the future accurately, exactly as it will happen, with all disciplines in science, technology, politics and everything, by just randomness, it's not believable. It's too fishy. It's unbelievable.
We cannot board planes. I mean, we cannot trust planes if the world is running randomly.
I mean, it has to be, I suppose. I mean, it's either that or God,
No,
I suppose.
randomness, as you know.
We can't prove either.
No, randomness, as you know, is imagine by randomness, it tells you.
You can have faith in.
Look, how
Direct
to.
observation. I mean,
No, the problem will be, how do you define randomness then?
There is no such thing.
So, randomness. Flip of a coin.
It's not random. It's not random.
it's lacking our predictability. I mean, the power to predict.
Okay.
That's yeah.
Out of randomness, you can't find stability out of randomness.
Give you example of the coin. How it's not random. Go ahead. If I flip a coin and I know exactly what the coin is made of, I know the texture, the shape, the density, I know how far it's going to fall, the distance, the thing is going to falling on. Is it carpet? Is it stone? Is it wood? I know the air speed, temperature, humidity. If I knew all the factors, we can surely say it's going to be head, tail, or a side. It's our ignorance of those factors that tells us why it's head or tail. But if I knew it, then you can predict by certainty it's going to be head or tail. Yeah? It's our ignorance. So when we talk about our universe, unfortunately for atheists and hard agnostics, it already shows a harmony, a design, a enforcement of physical laws in our universe, natural laws. That cannot enforce by itself. It is an enforcer, going back to the same thing. That's why, Simon, I want you to leave it there for you to reflect on. And Mansur,
Simon, nice to meet you, Mansur.
if you read the Quran, it will give you one step more further about why it has to be a creator, originator, and why the creator has created you. Because we haven't talked about that.
Do you have
So,
Quran or?
should we give you a copy of the Quran?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay, it's available on the internet. It's available on the internet. You can, but what I suggest one thing though. Listen to the Quran being recited.
It sounds, I've heard a bit of it. It sounds beautiful.
You take care.
Nice to chat. Thank you.
Pleasure speaking to you.
You too.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Do reflect on what we said. Thank you. Take care. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.